All right, so here we go, guys. So, first off, for number 10, they say you're going to be given some ordered pairs, make a table, and answer the questions. Okay, so for number 10, we got to do A and B. Now, they say make a table, so we'll start one off here. X, Y. And we have a total of 5 points, so I'm going to do 5 parts. And inside, I put negative 1, 1 for the first point, and then 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, and 3, 9. Okay? Now, what they want you to do is to find the finite differences and figure out what the degree on the polynomial is. So, you're going to take the first two numbers, and then the next two numbers, and the next two like this, and subtract them, okay? Bottom up, okay? So 0 minus 1 is negative 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. And 9 minus 4 is 5. Now, this is called the first differences. And they don't look identical, so that means I'm not done yet, okay? So I take the second differences. So the second difference is I subtract 1 minus negative 1, that's 2. 3 minus 1 is 2, and 5 minus 3 is 2. You notice that at this point, these numbers match up. Okay, since those numbers match up, then this right here is the power. It's a second degree. Okay, so I'm going to write degree 2. All right? Now, just to be clear with you guys, it's not a degree 2 because of the fact that this says 2 3 different times. Okay, that's not the reason why it's a degree 2. It's a degree 2 because it took 2 subtractions to finally get matching numbers. Okay, that's why it's a degree 2. So the thing highlighted in yellow, they could have said 4, 4, 4. I still would have written second degree because it happened after the second time I subtracted. Okay? Now, for the next part, part B says, what's the average rate of change? So the AROC of the numbers negative 1 and 2. So, guys, notice negative 1, here's my Y value for negative 1, and 2, here's my Y value for 2. Okay? So remember, you do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let me write down these points really quick. Negative 1, 1, 2, 4. So for my average rate of change, I'm going to do 4 minus 1 over 2 minus negative 1. So that's 3 over 3. So my answer is 1. That's my average rate of change. Okay? So average rate of change comes out to 1. I just subtract the y values divided by subtraction of the x values. Be very careful. Right here on the bottom, you have a negative minus, right? So minus a negative. So make sure you guys notice that and you put plus instead. So when you get a 2 and a negative 1, you're going to add them. All right? And you'll get your answer. Now, 11 is the same exact thing. The only difference with number 11 is they want you to figure out the point. So this point here is 2, 0. And this one is negative 1, 3. Okay, so 2, 0 and negative 1, 3. So you're going to do your average rate of change. So the AROC again of y2 minus y1. So I'm going to put 0 minus 3. And then 2 minus negative 1. So 0 minus 3 is negative 3. 2 minus negative 1, that's a positive 3. So my answer is a negative 1. Now remember, I told you guys you can kind of check to see if it makes sense. If you were to connect these 2 points using like a line, see how the line it's mostly negative, right? Like it's mostly decreasing. This is a little bit of increasing. So since it's mostly decreasing, that means that its rate of change would be negative because it's going down. Okay, so that's how we kind of know that the negative 1 makes sense. Not that you have to do this on the test. You don't have to do that. But I'm just showing you guys that that's one way that you can kind of tell, like, am I doing this right? So that's a way you can kind of help yourself out. So before I move on, because I think the next question or the next two would be the last ones. Any questions on A, B for number 10 or on number 11? Remember, average rate of change is slope. All we're doing is slope. Okay? Just has a different name. So are we good? If not, when we're done, if you want to ask questions, feel free. You guys are going to have a lot of time to maybe go over this on your own again. It's up to you. All right, so 12, it says, consider the function y equals to x cubed minus 7. What is the average rate of change between negative 1 and 3? So negative 1 and 3. So I'm going to plug in negative 1 into the equation of x cubed. Okay, so this will be negative 1 cubed minus 7. That's negative 1 minus 7. So that's negative 8. And then I'm going to plug in a 3. So that's 3 cubed minus 7, which is 27 minus 7. So that's a 20. So all I have to do is find the slope again. They say average rate of change, but that's slope. All right, so y2 minus y1, that's 20 minus negative divided by 3 minus negative 1. So that's 28 over 4, which is equal to 7. And that's my slope, or average rate of change. So the only, I guess you could say, hard part to this is you got to figure out the y values yourself by plugging them into an equation. Once you figure out the y values, from there it's just slope formula, right? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then after this we got 13, which is that big word problem, but it's been condensed. They didn't make it 6 parts, they made it 3 parts. It's actually pretty easy compared to the stuff you guys did in your group test. So let's look at that one. All right, number 13. So 13 says, you are given a flat piece of cardboard that measures 3 by 7 inches. Answer the following questions for number 13. Okay, notice they don't ask me to draw it. I'm going to draw it just because it might help me build my equation. Okay, so they said 3 by 7. So this is 3. This is 7. And we're cutting out these little squares. So these little squares, we're going to call them x in dimension, okay? Because they are square shapes. So they're going to be the same height and, length and width, right? For the squares. So they say write an equation for the volume. Well, we start with x, and then we're going to need a length and a width. So the length, we can write it with a 7, right? But we're cutting out 2 x's. So we're going to write 7, sorry about that, 7 minus 2x. And then for the width, it's 3, but we're cutting out 2 x's. So 3 minus 2x. And you're done. That's your volume formula. Don't forget to put the x in there. A lot of you guys forgot to put that extra x. Okay, don't forget to put the x in there. Part B says write the volume as a polynomial function. In other words, distribute everything. Okay, distribute all of it. So you're going to want to distribute this in here first. So let's do that. Volume equals 7x minus 2x squared times 3 minus 2x. And then you're going to want to distribute what you have, okay, right there using your FOIL method. Okay, so distribute these first and then those after. So let's see. We get volume equal to 7x times 3 is 21x. 7x times a negative 2x is negative 14x squared. Negative 2x squared times 3 is negative 6x squared. And then negative 2x squared minus 2x will be positive 4x cubed. Now, this is correct, but you got to simplify it. So, negative 14x squared minus 6x squared, this piece right here, you can actually combine them. So I'm going to put a little arrow here. V equals to the 4x cubed I'll put in the front. Negative 14x squared minus 6x squared is negative 20x squared. And then a positive 21x. That's your volume. Okay, that's the answer to part B of number 13. Let me kind of put a little box around this thing. So there's that one. Also for this one here, there's that answer. Okay, so they just want you to distribute and be done. So that's it. C, if the cutout of each corner is x equal to 1, what is the volume of the box? In other words, let x equal 1 and plug it in. So V equals 4 times 1 cubed minus 20 times 1 squared plus 21 times 1. So that's V equals 4 minus 20 plus 21. Well, that's 5. Now, they might want the units for it. So let me see. They said inches. So it would be cubic inches, okay? Cubic inches, like that. So 5 cubic inches. The rest of the stuff we already did yesterday. All right? So if you weren't here yesterday, you don't have to listen to the lesson if you don't want to. But if you look at the notes at least, you'll be able to see, all the answers that we got here. And then everything from before, which would be like this stuff and all this other stuff. Okay? So if you need help with why we got those answers, then I do recommend you listen to the recording. Okay?